Hey everybody, it's Brandon Gingelbach with the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce. Hello and welcome to Leaders Online, our virtual learning series here. It is Wednesday and we're so glad that you're joining us. Today, we've got the pleasure of talking about a new tool happening at the Fort Worth Chamber, and that's our Chamber Member Forum. And this is something that we've talked about for quite some time, about providing an opportunity for our members to be able to link up in real time, to be able to ask questions, get advice, seek counsel, and do so in a way that connects them with our vast 1,700 member companies and thousands of employees and employers throughout the Fort Worth area. So we have an awesome panel today to be able to introduce this to you all and teach you about how to sign up, how to use it, how to interact, the benefits and those types of things. So really pumped. We have Brittany Brookens in our office who heads up our small business efforts. She's really the mastermind behind creating the Chamber Membership Forum. And then she's got an awesome panel of Fort Worth Chamber members who are key. We've got Mike Coffey, Dante Williams, and Vicky Cisneros. And so they're going to be chatting a little bit with you all as well. As always, if you've got any questions, use the Q&A function. And you can ask those, or if you're on Facebook Live, I'll get those through some staff who'll send me some of that. So I'll interject with some questions here and there. But that's it. Brittany, I'm going to hand it over to you and look forward to learning about this.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We're excited. The past 8 weeks since COVID has taken over all of our lives, the Chamber and of course the community has really been inundated with finding resources and connecting with each other. And we have been overwhelmed with calls and emails, trying to find, PPE, trying to find connections, trying to find someone to help with this or that with their business. And so we decided that this was the perfect time, to Brandon's point, to really launch this new online forum. And so we worked with a bunch of community members to get their feedback, topics, how to structure it, and everything. So we're really thankful for their support. And we officially launched it last week. So we're really excited that this has been something that we've been able to offer to the community. This is not just something for Chamber members. This is something for the entire community to use. So I want to make that clear. It's open to the whole city to use. What I'd like to do really quick is share my screen and just walk you through what the forum looks like before I pass it on to the rest of the presenters here. So hopefully you guys can see my screen here. And this is the homepage. It's just community.fortworthchamber.com. You can find this from the fortworthchamber.com's homepage as well. And it's on our COVID-19 resource page as well, so you can find links there. But as you can see, we've got quite a list of topics and discussion streams that have already started. And so how to jump in? It's really simple to jump in. What you just need to do is just register at the top of the page. You can see this user button. So we'll register as a user, and you can see these are all the users that we already have registered here. And then you're going to build your profile, and I'll show you what my profile looks like here. So it has my name here, it has my title, my company, it has how many posts I've done. It also has my email address. So if you need to get a hold of me, and I encourage you to put contact information here, so if someone wants to reach out to you. And then you can also see all of the posts that I've made, the responses, things like that. And you can do this for anyone. You can see your profile, so you can put your profile picture in here. You can do a fun background. You can really make it your own. So set up your profile, make sure it's completely filled out there. And then if you go back to the home page, go to forum announcements first, and we have our forum code of conduct that you can read through here. just some best practices for building this community that we're doing here. And if you go back to forum announcements, we have also a please say hello button. So please come here and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your company. Some people were real fun and kind of put their personality in here and shared some of their hobbies and talents. So, and it's fun to do that, you know, get to know people here on the forum. So we encourage you to do that. And then you're just going to go back, and what I encourage you to do initially is to read through the forum topics and discussion threads. Take some time to kind of read through. We have, like, here's this one here, in search of local resources. You can see all the different discussion threads, protect the fort PPE drive, local resource websites. Someone posted about disinfection services that they offer. So that's a great way to get involved right there. So I encourage you to read through all these different discussion threads to really understand the discussions already happening and just jump in. Some good things to remember with doing this are to pose questions to the group and share about your business. You probably, I know, have a great resource or a how-to that you can share with the group to really understand and to share information with each other. So post those kind of things. Respond to people if they're posing questions. And if you're posing questions, a good rule of thumb is to make sure that you respond or check back on the forum within 24 to 48 hours. You know, we want this to be a tool that is happening, you know, it's relevant, that people are responding to. So don't forget, if you pose a question, to go back and check on it, basically. We encourage you to share this with your colleagues and your friends and connections here in the city. If you're a part of a business group or some type of association, we'd love for you to share this with those groups to get them involved in what we're doing. And again, this is open to the entire community. So we really want this as a resource to do. So it's easy. If you have any questions about setting up your profile or anything, you can go to my profile, send me a note, connect with me there, and I'd be happy to walk you through it. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to our panel of experts, and I'm going to throw this over to Mike, and we can get started.
Hey, Brittany, can I interrupt with a quick question? I'm just curious, How long does it take to set up your profile? I mean, is that like a long enduring process that people would sort of think that I don't have the time to do that?
Oh, no, it takes maybe 30 seconds. It's super, super simple. It's just, you know, you're going to create a username just like you do for any other type of sign up, and just put a few details about yourself in there. So no, it's super simple.
Yeah, and I can answer that. I actually just set it up as Brittany was talking. So that's pretty quick.
All right, Mike.
Well, you know, I've been using forums since back before the internet, back in the days where there were just dial-up bulletin board systems that were just plain text, green text on a black background on the old BBSs. And then the internet came along, and now we've got Slack, we've got the Chambers forum, we've got all these other kind of communication systems set up. But they're all still about people connecting to people, and we got to remember that's the real trick. Is being helpful is the value of being in the forum, helpful to other people, and getting help when you need it, and just being relevant and real. Probably my biggest irk when I'm on a forum, and you know, even LinkedIn or anything like that, is where somebody is constantly pushing their services. And a good rule of thumb, I think, is for any type of self-promotion or anything where you're talking about what you do, try to have helped people apart from what you do, at least in a non-promotional way, 5 or 6 times for any one instance where you're trying to introduce your services to somebody. Because I think that's how we build a community where we really have that feeling that we're trying to help each other, and we're trying to create an environment where, in the case of the Chambers websites, business leaders trying to, you know, help each other weather this storm that we're going through right now with the pandemic, but also just, the daily life of owning a business in Fort Worth and what that means, and sharing good news and helping each other out. But I think one of the best things we can do is just try to, make real connections, virtually, but real connections that are meaningful. And I've had a lot of success. I mean, my business is 21 years old, and organizations like the Chamber and other groups, just being able to be that helpful person so that when somebody needs our service, they think, oh, I know that guy. He's reliable, he's credible, and he's a nice guy. My coffee not being a jerk is probably my biggest marketing asset. And so, if you can just do that, I think that's a great way to build credibility, but also help your neighbors. What about you, Vicky and Dante? What are your experiences on that?
Well, for me, I think that we've been in business 38 years. When we came up with this forum, I thought to myself, this is a great way that we can reach out to each other and kind of help each other plan our new course of action for the future. I agree with you, Mike. When I look at the forums, and I'm on several different groups with restaurants, and these things that we talk about are usually industry specific. But the one thing that I have found out for myself, along with you, is if we come to the forums with the idea that we really are here to help one another, I would tell everyone, assume on a forum that the information that you're receiving is complimentary, and the help you're receiving is complimentary as well, because that's why you are participating. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. What we do know is that this is a way to build our community. And we're going to have to reimagine how the immediate future is going to be. So rather than try to take what we all can get right now, I think it's so vitally important, especially in a city like Fort Worth, where it's the largest city that you can travel across, and you can't go anywhere that you don't see someone that you know, or you knew their kid. Or we have a very small town feel to this large city. We're one of the largest. We are blue zone. We've done so much, and I think that this added feature to help each other is something that we're bound to do. And I think we will end up doing it well. I'm wondering, and I'm hoping we can get this information out to everyone, because I didn't have much to offer until this happened. And I found out, you know what, 38 years of experience, there's a lot of things that I can help with, even if it's just filling out a form for someone trying to get their Texas Workforce Commission payments in. It's very simple things. You can do these Zooms and meetings and help people say, okay, don't put on your form that you're laid off. It's a disaster. That way it doesn't go back to the employer. There's so many little things that, just being in the business for so many years, I'm here to help. And I think that from a personal standpoint, I have reached out to various mastermind groups and people who have done global studies of how our economy is going to be affected in our industry, and they've shared that information with me. Typically, that information is very expensive to obtain. So I find that the forums are a place that you get the best mentors. You can be open and honest with people. You can share, and there is nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need help. What can you do? And if you can do something, do it. That's my take on forums. It's a complimentary tool, and it's a place where you should expect to do things for free.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, guys. I think so been in the construction industry for 20 years, and my company is fairly new. 2018 is when we started. So I'm the pup in this with you guys. But my sentiments exactly is, it's about help, and it's about using the tool for what the tool is used for, right? So I think as long as we keep that in the forefront, this is a tool to help and to put information out to assist each other. I think that will go a long way in how useful the forums will be. And that's been my experience. If it's what you put in a lot of times versus what it'll be the same as what you get out whenever you use the tool. So I think if we're putting in, especially for startups and companies that haven't been around for a long time, just really seeking the help and going back. I think, Brittany, you mentioned asking a question and not following back up with that question, right? That's one way for the tool not to be useful, right? For a forum to be like, I asked a question and then you complain about it later and say, well, no one helped me. Well, you never went back to check and see if it was answered, right? So I think that, and then for everything that Vicky and Mike said, just having that knowledge of whether it be your specific industry or just in general, how to fill out forms, how to get resources with the city or the state, the county, different things like that. I think that's very beneficial to any company, no matter the industry, to have mentors to kind of lean on to do those type of things. So I think that's perfect what you guys said, and just use the tool for what it's used for, and not for, I think you guys hit it, the self-promotion. I think that's second or third on whatever this could be, right? So
I think that's great.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, thanks. I was just going to say, I think that's great. From our standpoint, we, and Vicky touched on it. I mean, for this to be successful, we as the chamber have got to be talking about this at every single event, every single meeting, every single webinar, promoting this, because it's only as good as the users that are on it. So I can tell you from our standpoint, we have a forum at every single opportunity we have to be able to promote this and grow this user base. It's starting right now, on the website. It's not mobile friendly as of yet in terms of having an app and being able to do that. But I think that we'll start to move forward as we sort of move forward with this. But it is a start, and I tell you what, I mean, we're really thrilled and going to be promoting as much as we can to get everyone on that communicating.
And as a Chamber of Commerce member and pretty actively involved in it, I think this is really good for the business climate in Fort Worth over the next few years, because Brittany and Brandon and other chamber employees and staff are going to be looking at what these conversations are about. And so, it's always pulling teeth to get people to respond to surveys and to do all of those things. But when staff can actually see, hey, here's the zeitgeist of business in Fort Worth. Here's what people are concerned about. These are the problems they're having. It's a great addition to the idea of the area councils that the chamber has, where businesses can share directly with the council, because the chamber is really our voice to North Texas, the state, and local government. So as a small business who can't afford my own lobbyist, I'm really, when I first joined the chamber, it was because a friend of mine who's active told me I was basically being a free rider. I was benefiting from the business climate here in Fort Worth, and wasn't helping support one of the biggest voices for business in Fort Worth. And so, but I think having this where we can have these ongoing conversations, and as we get critical mass of other businesses involved in this, it's going to be a real tool, and I think we'll all learn a lot from it. So thank you, Brittany, and Brandon, for putting it together.
Yeah, definitely. And just to kind of piggyback off what Mike was saying, I think the geographical perspective of that. So I think we spoke about it in our East Area Council meeting before COVID about, just some of the East Side kind of difficulties of things that the East Side. So each region has different things that they face, and this would be an opportunity to where you can, depending on how nuanced you get in the groups that are created, but you can say, okay, well, the East Side has these concerns or issues or things that are happening over here versus the West, the North, or the South side. So I think like being able to kind of hone in as a chamber on those specific areas and be real intentional on, how do we address these things over here? How can we help these entities on this side of town? versus just having kind of one pocket of, one way of helping kind of everybody in general. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and to your point. Oh, I'm sorry, Vicky.
No. You go ahead. I'll speak after you.
Okay, I was just gonna say we can create discussion threads around that. So if there's a bunch of people that are like, we need to have an East Side thread, discussion topic around whatever, we're happy to create those new topics, because I agree, and we all agree that different parts of town have different issues and there are different situations that come up, and we definitely want this to be a resource to connect. So we can totally do that. Vicky, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking of is in this time with the whole city having the wherewithal to be a part of the chamber's forum and to know exactly what we're doing, I do believe at the end of the day that we'll have a much larger chamber membership, because people will be able to see point blank what this does for them. How does it work for them? And I think coming out of this, it's just like Mike said, we'll find exactly what we need. Because I know, for example, we're members, the Texas Restaurant Association, we have a Dallas chapter, we have a Fort Worth chapter. Most of those members are not members of the chamber, but they should be. So it should all be working together. And I feel that once everything is out there and we find out what the different council areas need, we also might find out what the different industry needs are as well. And I think it would be helpful. And you'll see that in the forum threads. It'll come through. People will have an opportunity to interact with the chamber who have never had that before. And that is a great plus for the whole city of Fort Worth, because we're strong with our masses, and getting everyone involved, this is a great way to do it. And I for sure with TRA, I'm going to make sure that the Texas Restaurant Association group and the National Restaurant Association group and the lobbyists who, we reach out to here in Fort Worth, I'm going to make sure that they know everyone sign up for this. This is a great tool for our city.
And kind of along the what Dante was talking about too. I mean, anybody who's been around the chamber for 5 minutes has had Nettie Matthews tug on your conscience about something, and there's nobody who, yeah, exactly right. But Nettie's plugged into all the area councils, and every time we sit down and talk about anything, she ends up saying, "Oh well, the North Area Council is dealing with this kind of issue, or the South Area is dealing with this." And I think it's always so interesting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going on in other parts of the city. I mean, it could lead to business opportunities for me. I may learn something I didn't know about, that I need to pay attention to. But also there may just be ways that, a rising tide raises all ships. And so if we can figure out, hey, these are common problems we're having across the city, and they're, we thought they were all just compartmentalized or siloed, we'll be able to build, come up with, as a group, better solutions. One thing I wanted to talk about real quick, just before we run out of time, is one of the things that we all probably on LinkedIn or Facebook or any of these kind of communication chat groups, sometimes people forget, first of all, to be respectful and friendly with each other, that we're all here, we're not. And so, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen on the Fort Worth Chamber Forum at some point. It's going to be Trump this or Biden this or this or that. And, we're here. We guess I remember we're here to improve the business climate at Fort Worth. That's the reason for the chamber, and to make this a great place to live, a place where companies want to come and families want to raise their kids. And so, certainly as some of the pioneers in this forum, but also just as we kind of continue to grow this thing, if we can just gently nudge people, say, yeah, that's interesting, and how do let's talk about how we improve the city of Fort Worth and what we're trying to do, because it's going to happen, unfortunately. So right. Half my Facebook friends are wrong, so I won't tell you which half, but yeah.
That's something I wanted to bring up. I know that was a sensitive subject for us when we were talking about doing this and making sure that it's not compromised. And I know there's some security measures in place that we've thought through. So Brittany, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that we're asking everyone to register. So, you can't comment or post unless you are a registered user. You can view, you can go on there and read, through, but you can't comment or post. So, when you register and you become a user and you're out there and you're going back and forth on different posts and things like that, if something comes up that is not in compliance with our code of conduct, we'll definitely reach out to that person and talk about the situation and take it from there, those steps. So that is something that we'll definitely monitor, because we want this to be, to your point, Mike, friendly. This is to be very helpful. And one thing I wanted to say too is when we were deciding whether or not to even launch this, we did check with a bunch of folks to see if something was already out there like this here in Fort Worth, because if we could just promote what another group is doing and join efforts with them, that would have totally been one way we could have just done that. We don't want to duplicate efforts, but we found that no one else was. And so, and that's back to why we really want this to be open to the community, because people are hurting. People are really struggling right now. And if we can be a resource to help them find something they need just to get back open right now, that is certainly top of mind. I had a question too. I wanted to ask you all, have you had, or could you share a unique experience from your past forum experience that you have made a connection that has really helped with your business? Or you found success with the forum, some type of success story, just for people to kind of understand how to use it?
I'll jump in. I'm always the first to jump in, so I try not to sometimes.
Thanks, Mike.
The biggest thing for me is I've been able to connect with a lot of professional service providers that I use, that I met online in one group or another over the years. So I'd post a question, I've got this question about digital marketing. It's not my area of expertise, and I'm trying to figure this thing out with Google Ads. And the next thing you know, somebody I know is connecting me with somebody else who maybe wasn't even on the forum, but they know I've got this problem and they're finding them. And so I've got this whole list of through the HR Association and through other business groups, and then just plain old LinkedIn and Facebook stuff. It's just a great way to get to increase my Rolodex, basically, to meet a lot of people who can help me when I need specific kinds of help. And so for me, that's been probably the biggest thing. And plus credibility. I mean, like I said earlier, most of our marketing is around reputation and just being trusted. And so being able to help people. I mean, we definitely got clients people who knew who we were for a long time from those kind of forums. And when the time came for them to make a buying decision and they had to change, what they're doing in the area of our service, they know who we are. So at least they picked up the phone and said, hey, let me get, I wanted to give you a shot to earn our business. Then it's, whether I do it or not is up to me. But that's the other side of it, is just, but it's all about, I think for me, it's all about the relationship.
Yeah. And that was kind of the same kind of deal I had. I had a experience with a guy who I kind of saw him. This was on Facebook. There was a kind of construction Facebook group, and he was a plumber, and he was just always offering out advice to just, people who were, whether they were homeowners or whatever it may be. He was just kind of constantly just giving, hey, try this, do this, without ever really saying, hey, I can come do it for you, right? And you can pay me. So I just reached out to him and said, hey, man, I appreciate you doing that. I have a couple of projects I'd like for you to exclusively look at. We kind of built a relationship through that. And I mean, turned out to be a really good guy and had a lot of good things to offer. Just not just for me as a company, but just to the people that we were working with and building trust. So I think that was really key, and that was a really good opportunity that I've seen through forums.
Awesome. Thank you for
We do have a question. So the question is, what do you all sort of have to build a habit in the day? How do you make getting on a forum and going through that routine? We all drink through the fire hose, and as Mike was mentioning, you can do something and then not check it for 3 or 4 days. And so, is there any suggestions or ideas of how you try to build that into your daily routine?
I can speak to that it's just very simple. I put it on my calendar like it's an appointment. And so sometimes I might look and there's not anything on the thread that needs to be responded to, but I typically would do it from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, or if it's an evening or afternoon, I just put it on my calendar to just check it. So that works for me. It's like a little tiny block of time. It's not an hour, by the way. It's never been an hour, but 30 minutes, yes, to read everything and look. That helps me. I look at it as it's part of my daily job.
Yeah, and I guess for me on the flip side of that, and Brittany, this may be a question that I have. So I think notifications.
Mm-hmm,
So if the forum allows for email, text notifications, and typically I try to set it up to where it's once a day instead of getting notifications every time something pops up. Just a notification setting to where it'll send me an email on kind of just what's occurred for the day. And I can kind of just go to that at the end of the day and say, hey, is there anything on here I need to check? But that's for me, that's how I do it. A little bit simpler because my calendar gets crazy around bedtime.
Well, and with the Fort Worth Chamber Forum, what I did was added it to my home tabs in Google. So when I first open Chrome, it's one of the tabs that comes up. So I've got the Austin American Statesman, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Fort Worth Chamber are the 4 tabs that all pop up. And so my first thing in the morning is to go through all 4 of those tabs and see if there's anything I need to know about. And then, I never close my browser through the whole day. So at the end of the day, it's still one of the 25 tabs I've got open, and I may flip back over there at some point to see what's going on.
Those are all great, really, really great tips. I think you have to figure out what works best for you. Right now, we don't have any type of email notification coming out because we didn't want to inundate everyone with emails, but that's something that we'll take a look at and see for sure. But I think, putting it on your calendar, keeping it as a tab, those are great ways just to go back. Again, if you're posing questions, please make sure you're going back within a day or two to look at it and to find those replies. So.
Well, and I appreciate.
Thank you when people do help you too. That's one thing that people really, that makes that closes that loop and makes that connection. Somebody gives you some help, or even if they say something and it's not particularly helpful because it doesn't really address maybe what you wanted, just saying thanks, I really appreciate that, just goes a long way to making people connect to you. So, thank yous are a dying art, I'm afraid, in our digital economy.
Well, on that note, Mike, Dante, Vicky, thank you. We appreciate having y'all. This really is sort of for us a learning experience, and I think appreciate y'all really being sort of early adopters and being able to be part of this process. And the good news is, you've got Brittany and myself and the organization that it's just a listening ear. And so as this starts and gets to be a little bit more prevalent and more involved, we can enhance this and develop this in a way that serves you all. And as was mentioned earlier, I really am excited that this is something that we can offer to everyone in the community. We talk about it a lot, especially with Bruce Rabin, who does our small business newsletter. What can we do to bring people in and show chamber value? What can we do to help everyone and sort of whet their appetite for what the chamber can do to help their business? And so I think this is a great example, but we couldn't do it without you all being willing to join another forum to be able to help us launch this. And it's certainly an act of love, and I know and hope that it'll continue to pay off for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Anything else? Is that it, Brittany?
Yes, that's it. Sorry, I was muted.
No.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
We've got a couple things, just so you know. We have 2 more virtual programs this week. So we've got tomorrow our first Membership 101. That's going to be a Zoom session. So new and veteran members are welcome to hear about how we are serving our members during this time. So the Membership 101, we'll be talking about this right here, the Membership Forum, and talking about other tools that we have to be able to help you and your business grow. So that's tomorrow, Membership 101. That's at 2 o'clock, Brittany, is that right?
2 o'clock.
Perfect. And then Friday at 2:30, I'll be speaking with Senator Ted Cruz, and he'll be offering an update on what's going on the federal level. So I'm very curious. There's been all sorts of conversations on both sides of the aisle regarding this corona virus or this CARES Act 2 package. So that's a conversation we have Friday at 2:30, and you have to sign up for that specifically. So if you're interested in that, please go to our website. And then also, if you don't know, we launched a grant program with Facebook. We launched it this morning at 12:01 a.m. It's called Protect the Fort. I want to make sure I'm getting that right. Yeah, Protect the Fort. And it is $250,000 that we are giving out to small businesses in Fort Worth. The cap for each business is $5,000, and that can be used for paying rent and utilities, inventory, a whole host of things. And it truly is a great lifeline. It is a grant offered by Facebook, who has a data center here in our community. So that application is on protectthefort.com. So just type that in and you can see all the information and news on that front. So, and you have until May 22nd to fill that out. So those are the announcements from me. Thanks so much for being on Leaders Online on this Wednesday. Again, thanks to our fabulous guests. We appreciate all you do for Fort Worth and the Fort Worth Chamber, and have an awesome week, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.